is Emma, and together with my co-host Daniel, we welcome you to The Message Today, episode 4, where we have special guests OTC and James Koroma will be sharing his story. Now, back in January 2020, due to the rising knife crime across the nation, the Message Trust, in partnership with Greater Manchester Police, took the No More Knives tour to Moss Side. We brought in special guest Mo Timbo from Hull, who shared his stories from selling drugs and using knives on the streets in London. We also had a presentation from some local police officers, and of course we took in a band. Social Beings performed some of their songs, inviting all students to an end-of-week concert at the Manchester Academy on the Friday night. It was epic, and hopefully your school may consider booking the tour in your area soon.
What's happening? My name is Daniel, and I'm the front man for a band called Brightline, and I'm a bit of a... I'm a beatboxer. We also do lessons and we do music in school. Today we're going to continue the topic of no more knives.
If you have any questions from this session, why not write them down and talk about it with your group afterwards? Remember, if you're personally struggling with anything relating to knife crime, or maybe around something that you hear today, please do think of an adult that you trust that you can talk to as soon as possible. This might be a parent or guardian, a youth leader, or a member of staff at your school. Let's start today's episode by watching Yizzy's 3 Minute to Live video.
That's right, I'm on the floor trying to fight for my life. It's that same old story. Got stabbed a few times with a knife, and I don't think that I'm gonna make it. I feel cold inside. I'll be dead in about 3 minutes if they don't stop the bleeding in time. Another brother dead, it's dumb. My time is up in this world, I'm leaving. So can somebody phone my mum and tell her that I won't be home this evening? The man them look sad, they felt the pain when I said this rhyme. Before I go, can you tell my dad, I'm sorry that we never made up in time.
So what would you do? So what would you do if you had 3 minutes to live? Because we as people, we take life for granted, and I can't believe that.
Look, yeah, that's me. Lying on the floor, I think I blacked out. I couldn't even breathe, but I never tapped out. Cause mommy never raised a brother to back down, so I keep on fighting, just to stay alive. I'm back now. Paramedics said something about an artery, and can everybody move to the background? Somebody please help me. I can't feel my legs anymore. Thinking I could have gone anywhere I want in life. What the f did I choose this door? And to that kid Duke that stabbed me, brother, what the f did you kill me for? Got so many young kids that are dying nowadays. What the f did you kill one more? Blackout. I was never on time. I was gonna improve, but I can't be late no more. And the saying goes, I've never felt so alive yet. I can't relate no more. Like who's the best baller alive, fam? I can't debate no more. When I got stabbed by a grease, man, got messy and I can't explain no more. See, I could've had children. A little beautiful brown-eyed daughter. If she couldn't skate, daddy would've taught her. And how to swim, not be scared of the water. And even though you won't be born, and cause of these stab wounds, I can't hug you. This is a note to what could have been my children. Just know daddy would've loved you. Yeah, daddy would've been there to guide you in life, to not make mistakes like he. And yeah, daddy would've been there to kiss it all better when you scraped your very first knee. But now, your daddy won't be with you. And you won't even exist. All cause this youth was intent on taking my life. You're taking a... No, I ain't going out like this. That I claw my way from the dark and come back. I ain't gonna leave nobody with no contact for them to be sitting by the grave with cognac. Somebody better try contact the Lord for my soul and tell him I want that. I don't care what a brother's gotta do to survive. Just tell the brother that a man's on that. If I gotta keep fighting, then I'm on that. I'll change my life for the better. I'll stop walking with a complex. Lord knows I won't chase vendettas. And I'll tell my mother that I love her every single damn day on the phone. So please can you grant my wish? All I really want is just to go home. That's the sound of a heartbeat fading. Telling myself, no, don't go sleep. For the last time, I'm not ready to leave. What's that daylight that a brother can see? If I just believe, nobody grieves. Hold up, let me just try and breathe.
So what is knife crime? Let's see what our students around the UK had to say.
Knife crime, it's kind of in the name.
Knife crime is crime that involves a knife. So whether it's just having one or threatening someone with it or just using it, it's just bad.
People thinking that they can get what they want just with a knife and just kill people with knives.
Knife crime is anyone who carries a knife or intends to use one or has used one in a violent way.
Knife crime is where people, for some reason, result to using a knife to resolve an issue.
I guess it's just people almost trying to show their dominance by threatening people with something that's quite scary. And I mean, I would be threatened and freaked out by someone pulling a knife on me.
At the moment, knife crime is quite a problem with younger people in areas where maybe a lot or most people carry knives, and therefore people feel like they themselves have to carry knives in order just for kind of basic protection. But then when an altercation arises, the consequences can be a lot more serious because people are carrying knives, and therefore people get stabbed.
It's silly, just don't carry a knife.
Nationally, over 1,000 teenagers were admitted to hospital after being attacked with a knife last year. That's up 55% from 6 years ago. Manchester saw 125 people admitted to hospital. Figures released by the Greater Manchester Police also showed that in just the first 3 months of 2019, there were staggering 787 knife crimes in the region.
No wonder cracking down on knife crime remains a high priority for our police, with 9 knife crimes a day being committed in Manchester alone. Knife crime is a major issue, but together we can fight it, and you can be a part of the solution by first saying just 3 words: no more knives.
But let's hear from the band themselves on today's topic. Here's James, Gina and Aidan from OTC.
Yes guys, we are OTC and we are an Afrobeats band based in Manchester. Like any other band, we release music, we gig, but the most important thing about us as OTC is the message behind our music. And that is why we are a part of your assembly today to share some of our stories relating to knife crime.
Bedfordshire Police define knife crime simply as any crime that involves a knife. This includes carrying a knife or trying to buy one if you're under the age of 18. This also includes threatening someone with a knife or carrying a knife that is banned.
Hey, I'm Aidan and I originally come from London, as you can probably guess by the accent. See, London, being the capital of the UK, has the highest rate of knife crime figures for the nation. Last year, in 2019 to 2020, the number of knife crime offences recorded in London reached almost 15,600. That's mad. Me personally, as a Christian, I read the Bible, and it says in 2 Timothy 1 verse 7, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of sound mind." In other words, I believe that God gives me the power or strength to choose to love rather than to hate, to forgive rather than to take revenge, which gives peace of mind. That doesn't mean that bad things don't happen in life, but it does mean that I don't have to live my whole life in fear, as I can ask God for that peace. Of course, I should be wise with who I hang out with and the choices I make, as it's important to value other individuals always.
James and Aidan have shared some really important stuff there, but if you have any questions at all, then do feel free to give us a message on our Instagram. Our handle is @otc.band.
If you want to hear more about us, we currently have a single out called I Win. You can find us on Spotify. So thank you. Thanks for having us today.
Cheers, OTC. During Operation Scepter in November 2020, which was the National Week of Action, the police spent the week tackling knife crime as part of their continued effort to reduce serious violence across Manchester. As a result, 82 people were arrested, with 29 related to knife offences. Officers seized a total of 170 knives, bladed articles from members of the public.
An additional 114 knives were also deposited in the Forces Forever Amnesty bins at various locations across Greater Manchester. GMP Detective Superintendent Chris Downey said, "We are committed to taking a collaborative approach to tackle knife crime." He went on to say that there are now 14 Forever Amnesty bins permanently placed in locations throughout the region, allowing people to dispose of knives in a completely safe and anonymous way. What is knife crime like in your area? Do you know where your local Forever Amnesty bin is in your region? If not, why don't you find out today? Back in 2018, Alfie Bradley designed the Knife Angel sculpture that was made up of 100,000 confiscated blades, highlighting knife crime in the UK. Let's watch the Telegraph's article on just this.
I've had all sorts of machetes, meat cleavers, swords, just even normal kitchen knives, which is really sad because often it is just a normal kitchen knife taken from a kitchen off just by a young kid half the time. They don't really know what they're doing for self-defense.
Wow, what an epic statue. Up next, though, is this week's Stats and Facts with Adam and Destiny.
Knife crime statistics published in October in the House of Commons stated that for the year ending March 2020, there were around 46,000 offences involving a knife or a sharp instrument in England and Wales. Due to ongoing problems, data from Greater Manchester Police isn't available for the year 2019 to 2020. However, excluding figures from Greater Manchester, this is still the highest number of offences since the year ending March 2011.
The Ben Kinsella Trust also reported that 24 children aged just 17 or younger were murdered with a knife or sharp object in 2019, stating that this represents the highest number of children murdered in over a decade. If someone you know has been affected by a knife crime, make sure that you're talking to an adult that you can trust to get some help.
Interestingly, offences involving knives or sharp instruments saw reductions with a decrease of 21% in April to June 2020 compared to the previous year. Billy Gazzard from the Office of National Statistics Centre for Crime and Justice said decreases in crime levels during the year ending June 2020 were mainly driven by changes in society after coronavirus lockdown restrictions were put in place. He went on to say that unfortunately there are indicators that crime levels in June were moving back towards pre-lockdown levels.
Also, in that report, 4,757 people went into hospital for treatment in England due to assault by a sharp object, and there were 20,597 disposals given for possession of a knife or an offensive weapon. Young people aged 10 to 17 were the offenders in 21% of cases. Do you know anyone who carries a knife?
The Youth Strategy, Engagement and Schools team at the Metropolitan Police Service told the British Youth Council that areas which have higher rates of poverty may have higher levels of crime against the person, concluding that there is a clear link between young people from socio-economically deprived areas being more vulnerable to being involved in knife crime, although this is linked to the vulnerability rather than the location. What do you think you could do to help your local area?
As we have heard, knife crime is still an ongoing issue across our nation. We've asked our students from around the UK if they knew of anyone who carried a knife and why they thought they did.
I don't think I do, or if I do, I'm not aware of it.
I know of one person who has a knife. They have a butterfly knife. It isn't anything lethal. It's quite a blunt blade, and I guess it's just for fun. And they simply carry it because they think it's a cool thing.
I have known people to carry knives. From their perspective, they've told me that it's for protection and that they feel that they need it in order to be safe. The way they've explained it is they don't use it to go kill someone, they use it for protection for themselves.
I don't know anyone who actually carries like a knife, like a proper knife. But I do think a lot of girls our age use maybe things on their keychain. Like I think there's a lot of those things that you can get that are like little knives and you can flip it out, but I think that's for protection reasons, being a girl.
Well, yeah, I've had someone pull a knife on me, so that was quite interesting. I think it's because they want to protect themselves, but they want to protect themselves from other people having knives. But if they all just stopped having knives, then they wanted to protect each other from knives.
I don't know anyone personally who carries a knife, but obviously I know the story of Yusuf Maki, who's not far from here, who was stabbed. And obviously the boy who did that lived in our area. And no, I don't know why they do it.
I have a really silly story of a girl that brought in a knife to school one time. So I don't know if she had like a boyfriend that was older than her or something that got expelled, and she wanted to be expelled as well. I think she had like other problems going on at home, I don't know. But she brought in a knife and she was like flashing it around to people like, oh, look at me, I've got a knife. The teachers somehow heard, her name was Sarah. Then my best friend Sarah got called to the head teacher's office and said, the teachers were like to her, do you have anything you shouldn't have? And then she was like, no, I have my phone, but that's it. And then they started strip searching her, checked her shoes, patted her down and everything. And then that was the wrong Sarah. And the girl that had brought the knife was still like going around showing that she had the knife. It wasn't my friend, it was a different person. But yeah, she's been expelled. So. Lesson learned, I guess.
Yeah, so I was that Sarah who got pulled over thinking that I had a knife. It was horrible, horrible experience.
When deciding whether to carry a knife or not, knifefree.co.uk state it's important to remember these 4 things. Number 1, 99% of 10 to 29-year-olds do not carry a knife. Number 2, that a person can get up to 4 years in prison for possession of a knife, even if it's never used. Number 3, that people who carry a weapon are more likely to be hospitalised with a violence-related injury, and in many cases their own weapon has been used against them. And lastly, number 4, many young people who carry a knife said that they would prefer not to. So let's watch a video created by Life Noggin to see what actually happens to your body if you do get stabbed.
Hey there, welcome to Life Noggin. In the United States, knives make up 10% of homicide weapons, while in Europe, they account for 43%. In fact, in the UK, crimes involving knives have been on the rise over the last few years. So, what happens to your body when you get stabbed? First off, due to the inevitable blood loss, your circulatory system may struggle to work properly, resulting in a lack of oxygen to important organs like the heart and brain. When you lose 1/5 or more of your body's blood supply, you will experience a condition known as hypovolemic or hemorrhagic shock. This causes a whole bunch of unpleasant symptoms. Your body stops circulation to the skin, making it pale, cold, and clammy. Your heart will speed up in an attempt to pull in blood and oxygen, which pulls it away from the stomach, making you feel thirsty or sick. And as your brain continues to lack sufficient oxygen, you may begin to feel dizzy or confused. Hypovolemic shock can lead to hypothermia, organ damage, heart attack, gangrene, and death. But your outcome will vary largely depending on how much blood you lose, how fast you lose it, and where you were injured. For example, a stab wound in a major artery or vein will cause you to lose blood very fast. In just 3 or 4 minutes, you could lose 40% of your blood volume. Losing any more than that is considered fatal. A 2016 study on trauma cases in urban Germany found that penetrating injuries, the most common of which were stabbings, mainly occurred in the head, chest, and abdomen, you know, where all your vital organs are located. Of these patients, 20% experienced hypovolemic shock and 10% died. Stab wounds are also very common in trauma centers in the United States, occurring 3 times more often than gunshot wounds, though those are less fatal. In 2004, there were about 2,000 homicides in which the person was cut or pierced, and about 11,600 homicides from a gunshot. Treatment of stab wounds begins with the application of pressure to the wound. This is to stop or lessen the amount of blood loss. Once at the hospital, your doctor will determine how severe your injury is and whether it requires surgery. If you were stabbed in your abdomen, you may get a CT scan or even an exploratory surgery called a laparotomy to see what was injured, though there is still some debate over whether surgery is necessary for patients who are stable. Some doctors are developing an algorithm to help determine the optimal treatment of abdominal stab wounds. After your doctor sews you up and gives you any needed blood transfusion, fluids, or antibiotics, and sends you on your way, you'll have to take good care of your wound to ensure sure it heals properly. More severe injuries will require follow-up appointments to make sure it doesn't become infected. And if an organ was injured, you may need to see a specialist. Most stabbings aren't fatal, and with proper care, over time, your wounds will heal. Have any other questions for us that you want answered? Let us know in the comment section below and your question could be chosen for a future video. Go ahead, ask away. As always, my name is Blocko. This has been Life Noggin. Don't forget to keep on thinking.
J.K. Rowling is a British author. She's best known for writing and producing the Harry Potter series. I love Harry Potter. Do you love Harry Potter? She said this: "We are all human, aren't we? Every human life is worth the same and worth saving." I love this quote. Every human life is worth the same. So let's make sure that we are treating other people around us with the same value as we want to be treated with.
Last year, Hello Magazine did an article on celebrities who have been affected by knife crime. They reported that Brooke Kinsella, former EastEnders actress, had been campaigning against knife crime over the last 10 years, following the tragic death of her brother, Ben, who was stabbed and killed whilst on a night out celebrating his GCSEs. He was just 16. Brooke posted a tribute in 2018 to mark the 10-year anniversary of his passing, writing, "10 years on from losing our beautiful Ben, I'd hoped so much we would be able to say that things had changed and our streets are safer. My heart breaks at how far away that still seems." She also began a new campaign, 10 for Ben, which encourages school children to do 10 nice things for one another. 10 acts of kindness in Ben's name. What a great idea. Maybe you could think about doing that yourself.
Why am I rotating? Are we rolling? My first encounter with a knife incident, I was about 12 years old. Me and my boys were playing football at the park, and literally one of the youth that we were playing against missed the ball and kicked the stone, and I started laughing. I don't know why, I found it so funny. I was literally on the floor rolling and laughing, and he was in tears, bleeding and crying. So he went home. The next day he came back, back on the park again. Me and my boys were playing football again. But this time I saw him, he wasn't playing, he was walking towards me, he had his leg bandaged and he was limping. As he was walking towards me, as he got closer, I saw him reach for his pocket and I literally pulled out a flip knife, flicked it. Next thing I know, he's trying to aim for me, and in the heat of a moment, I tried to rush. I tried to grab the knife and I missed, and the knife literally went in my palm, and I still have a scar in my left palm today. As time went on, I started living in fear, so I started thinking I need to start carrying a knife, thinking I'm protecting myself. So I started carrying a knife at a very young age of age of 12, thinking I'm protecting myself. Time went on, I moved on, had my own flat, and I was living alone. But then I realized that one of my boys was coming to my yard and taking my stuff, and I would see him wearing it on the road, and I was getting frustrated. So one time he had a house party. I thought, okay, it's a brilliant idea to go and pay him a visit at his party, to confront him about the stuff that he'd been stealing at my house. So as I went there, literally I banged on the door, he opened the door, I was literally about to reach for the knife. I had the knife hidden in my jacket. I was about to reach for the knife, a thought and a voice in my head spoke to me clearly and said, the choice that you're about to make today, the decision that you're about to make right now is going to affect you not just today, but it's going to affect you for the rest of your life. And this decision is not only going to affect this boy that you're about to stab, is going to affect your family as well, because obviously when things happen, I'm going to be sitting in jail. No mother wants to visit their child in jail. So that voice literally spoke to me. I was so angry and so tormented, and I walked away. I went home and I was frustrated, but this voice was constantly speaking to me saying that choice that you had made would have affected you, but there's another way out, and the only way out is Jesus. Constantly, it won't let me rest. The only way out of that situation that I was in, where I'm living in fear. If somebody bang on my door, I think it's going to be the police, or it's going to be one of the boys trying to catch me slipping. So I was constantly living in fear, but at the same time thinking I'm a bad man, but really I'm inside my house, I'm living in fear. But this voice was the only way out is Jesus. The only way out is Jesus. So I said, you know what? I got nothing to lose. I've lost a lot of friends at that time, a lot of relationships. So I said, you know, I'm going to make this choice, give Christianity 1 single month. I'm going to give Jesus literally 1 single month and see what he does. And since I made that decision, literally my life has changed. I went on a different path, but most of my boys stayed on that same path where they're on the road, carrying a knife and doing a lot of like crazy stuff. So I eventually, like, after I moved on, like years later, I was like, watching on Facebook, and I saw one of my boys like literally like, you know, amputated and stuff. So I rang him. So he picked up the phone. I was like, yo, bro, like, what happened? So he explained to me like how like 4 of our other boys like jumped him, tried to rob his phone, and he got stabbed so badly that the hospital had to like chop his legs and arms to like keep him alive, and he's alive today, but praise God. And it just made me think like, wow, like if I hadn't listened to that voice and made that decision like years back to say, you know what, I'm gonna give Christianity, I'm gonna give Jesus literally 1 single month and see what he does. I went on a different path and made that decision, and they went back, and then it made me realize that, wow, that could have been me, either doing a lifetime in a wheelchair, and the 4 boys that actually stabbed my boy, they're doing 64 years in prison in total, all 4 of them. So I'm like, wow, that could have been me in prison doing at least like 11 to 12 years in prison, or doing a lifetime in a wheelchair. And since I made that decision, literally I haven't looked back, because I realized that carrying a knife, literally, it's not only like putting yourself in danger, but it's actually putting people in danger. And sometimes we may not be thinking we're gonna hurt somebody, we're gonna use it, but the fact that you have a knife is a very, very dangerous situation to have. Basically, guys, what I'm trying to say is this: one bad decision can literally change the course of your whole life. Please make the right decision. My name is James Koroma, and this is my story.
Wow, thanks, James. It's really important to recognize that we can choose to do the right thing and stop a simple accident or argument turning into something so much bigger.
When we did the No More Knives tour, I loved working in partnership with Greater Manchester Police. Remember, the police are for you, not against you. So if you get an opportunity to talk with them, make sure you do for any help or advice. Also, if you're personally struggling with any of the content from today, please do think of an adult you can trust that you can talk to as soon as possible. Don't wait. There are many great websites and charities that we can signpost you to that can inform and support you moving forward. So why don't you check out some of those to start with today? knifefree.co.uk, Childline, Young Minds, Think You Know, and The Mix.
You can check OTC socials as they release fresh new content every week, as well as my band Brightline, and listen to our music on Spotify. But not only that, here at the Message Trust where we work, we have loads of bands, and every Friday we get together and we do a big show called The High Life. You can check it on YouTube and you'll be able to win some free giveaways. So make sure you check it out and keep in touch.
To close out today's episode, let's watch Put the Knives Down by Farron Alex Paul and Rage, courtesy of SBTV. We'll see you next week.
Think twice before you go and pull a knife. Cause if you kill a man, you're gonna lose your own life. When a judge hits the hammer, it's a 15 to life. Anything you got in life, you can forget it all tonight. And the situation that is over ain't that deep. Fake friends gassing like it's way more deep. And I know your blood is boiling. Chill, just breathe. Is it worth you trying to make another man bleed? To them, you're just another IC3. To me, you're a young king on street. Why you wanna kill a man that looks like you? I mean, why you wanna kill a man that looks like me? I'm your brother, we could've came from the same mother. Wild, no parents have to bury their child. Look deep down inside, you know that this is all facts, man. Let's put the knives down, word to my bro, Baz.
We need to stop the killing.
We need to stop the drilling.
We need to put the knives down.
We need to start living.
We need to stop the killing. We need to stop the drilling. We need to put the knife down. We need to start living. We need to stop the killing. We need to stop the drilling. We need to put the knife down. We need to start living. Rage.
I see you're trying to help the youth and I respect your lane. You said you can take their knives and give them money in exchange. Nobody's ever done that. Respect and salute. You know you just saved the lives of a few young youths. It takes 9 months to create a new life, but less than 9 seconds to be taken by a knife. I got stabbed a few years back, I know how it feels. And the nerve that they cut, oh, now it ain't healed. I stood up in the hospital, one side of the bed. My friend's mother stood the other side. I looked looked her in her eyes and she stood there and she cried. Then she looked up and said, please let my son be alright. Her pain shook the room and of course I cried too. We no longer want no more when we wear black suits. I don't want to see another young face on the news. United we stand, so united we'll move.
We need to stop the killing.
We need to stop the drilling.
We need to put their knives down.
We need to start living.
We need to stop the killing. We need to stop the drilling. We need to put the knife down. We need to start living. We need to stop the killing. We need to stop the drilling. We need to put the knife down. We need to start living. Rage. Nobody cares until it's theirs. Don't wait until it's too late. I love you, mummy, for now and forever. Faz amnesty to the world. GHR to the world. You're done now. Link up season. Love.